Turning now to the situation in the Middle East. Today, tens of thousands of Israeli reservists have started reporting for duty as Israel prepares for a new offensive in Gaza City. With the war showing no signs of slowing down, we're taking a look at the impact the war has had on education in the enclave. In a recent article for Britain's Guardian newspaper, Ahmed Kamal Junina described in great detail the struggles of staying focused as an academic living and working in Gaza. And Ahmed Kamal joins us now live from Gaza City to talk about this. He's an assistant professor of applied linguistics and the head of the English department at Al-Aqsa University in Gaza. He's also a fellow at Bristol University's Center for Cooperative and International Research in Education. Sir, thank you so much for joining us this morning on CBS News. I want to start by asking you to describe for us what life is like for you, for your family inside Gaza and other families and other people. We see the images, but I want to know how personally it has affected you.
Hi, Vlad. Good morning to you and your audience. Thank you for having me. As you said, you see the images and people see the images, but when it comes to the situation on the ground, I believe things are completely different. If I want to describe how the daily life is like in Gaza, I can say it's a battle for survival, Vlad. It's a daily struggle for survival. It starts in the early morning when families wake up to go and start looking for wood fire, for cooking. It starts when the kids go and stand in queues, in lines for clear water, for drinkable water. And they may end up going back home empty-handed because there is not enough clear water for everybody. So it is a battle for survival. People are struggling on a daily basis. Medications are virtually non-existent. Only today morning, one of my close friends was asking me if you know someone here or there who could really secure this medication for my daughter. And which is really heartbreaking that some items, for example, medications, do not really exist in pharmacists or clinics or even hospitals.
So it can be easy to forget the impacts of war in everyday life. Just as you say, getting a medication that might have been accessible before the war, which is now impossible to get now. Education, it would seem, perhaps for some who are going to see this interview, that would be the last thing on people's minds, getting an education. But how important is it and how hard has it been to continue teaching in Gaza? And why is it so critical to continue to do so, even in the face of the war and the after effects of having bombs and missiles and shots fired while you're trying to live a life?
And this is justifiable, Vlad. This is not unexpected. I mean, when you look for daily basic needs and you struggle to secure basic needs like food, flour, and drinking water and safety, and these are the basic needs of a human being. But at the same time, people want to make sure that their identity is not lost in the context of this war and this ongoing famine. Ultimately, it's an aspect of identity. Educators want to make sure that they are not losing their agency and their role in their society, as well as students. They want to feel that, well, the war is stripping us of everything, our homes, our memories, our belongings, but at the same time, we want to make sure that this last thing of agency and our own identity, that we're not losing it, which is education. That's why they're continuing education. And to be honest, a few minutes ago, I saw that report on back to school in the US, and it is really nice to see that. But at the same time, it is heartbreaking because around this time of the year, our students in Gaza, both in schools and universities, go back to school. And it's a time where students enjoy going back to school and new students join university. So it's a season of building dreams, hoping for a better future. But now in Gaza and today, it is not happening because more than 500,000 of students, both schools and universities, are not going back to schools. They are not back to classrooms. In fact, they are living in tents, in shelters, and elsewhere. So that's not happening. They are not receiving education, the last remnant of their agency and identity, and which is a big loss. Now we're talking about 3 years away from classrooms and education facilities, which have been, many of them have been destroyed, and we can talk about this in more detail if you wish. But as I said, it is a sense of identity, a feeling that I am continuing, I am trying my best, I'm not surrendering to the situation. My voice is not silenced. I'm saying something, I'm sharing, I'm taking part in initiatives, and I'm continuing my education, regardless of all the images that we are seeing now on your screen. And it is heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's a sense of resilience. It's a feeling that they are seeking empowerment and achieving that self-esteem and empowerment feeling.
Well, you know, we've seen images and video, even from our producer on the ground in Gaza City, of children who, when asked what they want, in addition, obviously, to the war ending and having food in their belly and a roof over their heads, you often hear young children, the littlest ones, saying that they just want to be able to go to school. In your piece for The Guardian newspaper, you write that you yourself find yourself caught between choosing whether to address the conflict or avoid it in the classroom. And so how do you weigh that delicate balancing act? How do you weigh explaining to young people, young minds, the roots of this war, and how do you not find yourself advocating one way or another when education is generally supposed to be agnostic?
That's true, I agree. And that's the tricky situation, Vlad, when it comes to your role as an educator. In fact, in the classroom, you feel that you are between the hammer and anvil, whether to talk about what is happening, and you risk traumatizing or even re-traumatizing students who lost maybe their parents or who lost their family members, and risk kind of reminding them of the memories of the things that they have lost, and even like the other option of talking about how to probably confront the status quo, to talk about it, to write about it in a form that tells the world that we are still here. We still think, we still learn, we still share our stories. And that's the tricky situation that we always feel that we are in. But at the end of the day, our role as educators is to be there for our students, to make them feel that we share the same story, because we share the same story. We are in the same scenario. We live the same circumstances. I often see my students in, by the way, Vlad, I'm joining you from a public place. This is an internet cafe where I come to on a daily basis, where I connect to the world. I connected to you through that place. It's the only way I can do it. And sometimes I see my students here. We talk about what we are expected to do, the expectations of students and educators, and how they should contribute to the betterment of their societies and communities, even amid such a war. We have a role to play. Educators around the world have a role to play. Students around the world, and in the US in particular, have a role to play in putting an end to this ongoing war, and say enough is enough. A ceasefire now. It is time for a ceasefire, and it is time for politicians to listen to those human voices that call for an end to this bloodshed. Education is one way to achieve that voice and convey the message through writing articles, through sharing stories, through talking, through marches, through demonstrations, through encampments, through writing to MPs, through sharing posts on social media, and putting an end to this ongoing war.
Yeah, well, increasingly, Professor, as you know, the calls to end this conflict, to bring about a ceasefire, have now grown beyond the region where you're in. We've seen it in Israel. We've seen it here in the United States and all around the world. Professor Ahmed Kamal Junina, thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us from Gaza City. We appreciate it. Stay safe.